Okay, it is 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and welcome to week eight, week eight of contemporary issues in criminal justice. And this quarter has been moving pretty fast. After this week, we'll have 3 more weeks and actually one more lecture. You'll see that in just a few minutes. So let's get right into uh, sharing my screen. Okay. And I don't go over the material that I've already covered on the course homepage, though I do encourage you to pay close attention to the course homepage. So one thing I will take time to discuss with you is your assignments for this week. Your field progress report. And you're going to explain your progress with the field work. You'll get 15 points for that. Present issues or concerns regarding the field assignment. And then, of course, you're going to do some research. So you're going to be checked for grammar, which is including Grammarly, APA, citations in the body, and references in the end. And that's your written assignment for this week. We're going to go over your other requirements in a minute. Of course, you see we're at week 8. We have one more lecture, which is 2 weeks from today, and that'll be at the same time. And you have to make sure that you attend the live lecture or either provide me with the keyword. You have to provide that to me in order to get all your points by this Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then for those of you who say you couldn't find the recording, these are the links. You can copy and paste some of these links. Some you can click on. And so that's week 1, week 3, week 6, and then we have week 8. Right now, at the end of this one, I'll have that. And then, of course, week 10 is the final lecture. Okay? So let's go over and look at our announcement. I encourage you from the very beginning to make sure that you read your announcements every week. So as you already know, this course is pretty much what we call career preparation or job preparation in the field that you desire to work in. So we're going to talk about gaining real-world experience very briefly, and we're going to go over what the requirements are and things like that for the assignments again. Your discussion post, which the initial post was due last night, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Field work issues and experiences. And then your reply post, of course, is due this Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I do encourage you to reply to more than one post. And then I remind you again of my motto, adversity is the springboard to success. We want you to achieve success in this course because this course helps you tremendously, because you're not in school to stay in school forever. You're in school to gain knowledge, and the field work helps you gain some introduction to experience, or some of you are actually working in the field, and this course helps you to advance, either where you are now or where you want to go in the future. So those are the things. So again, I'm going to follow my routine, and I'm going to go to the course calendar, which is redundant, but that's okay. I remind you that there is a course calendar, and that the course calendar tells you what the assignments are. Okay, so for this class, we are down here. This week, and I just told you, well, see, they got the 250 in there too. Let me take that out because you won't be confused. So now we'll just go with, let's refresh it. There we go. Okay, so for this week, we talked about the topic, gaining real world experience, your initial post, the lecture taking place right now as I speak, the reply post, and then your written assignment that's due this Sunday, okay? And then you'll notice that next week, which there is no lecture, it gives the schedule. You're going to deal with resumes, and you're going to follow those assignments that will be due in June. And we're coming down to the end there, okay? Your next lecture will be not until June, which is the 6th. And then, as you should already know, but I'll let you know again, that when you get to this week for your live lecture, the following week, the course ends. The 15th of June is the absolute final date. The absolute final date, okay? So now, let's close that out. And let's go to our module itself. Lectures aren't that long in this particular course because it's more of an independent study type thing, where I give you tips to help you, and I confirm that you're on the right track with how you do your assignments as well. Okay, a 1 to 2 page progress report concerning your work experience. Again, I already gave you what was in the rubric, so you want to make sure you follow that. And then your discussion posts. And notice that, remember I warned you earlier, we were going to deal with your transferable skills. You're going to utilize your transferable skills in almost everything that you do. And from communication to ethics to professional responsibility, diversity to teamwork to digital fluency, information literacy, and my all-time favorite one is critical thinking. Absolutely essential for operating in the workforce today. Okay, so now let's get down here and go actually back to this section here, which we'll be wrapping up on. Notice these lectures are not very long because of the kind of course it is. There's no textbook. So this week, again, you're sharpening up how to gain professional experience, explain progress toward field work, outline the issues relating to transferable skills that fit within your assignment. That's in your discussion post. And then these are your assignments that we went over. And that's pretty much it. So now let me take a few minutes to talk to you about each of these points. First of all, number one of the most important things that helped me to be successful in achieving my goal of becoming a lawyer was getting my foot in the door. And the way I got my foot in the door was I, right out of high school, got a job in a big law firm. And it was a corporate firm, but that wasn't my goal, but still, it was still in the law firm. Well, the point of the matter is when I got there, I started in their mailroom. And I communicated with the lawyers through my verbal communication to them, introducing myself, letting them know who I was, and what my goal was to become a lawyer. And I shared that so that it was all around the office. The point of the matter is that then I was also um, in school. I was in school at night. And so the law firm saw that I was progressing because they would print things in their office bulletin about my success in terms of education and how I was operating under adverse circumstances uh, without a car, on the bus, raising kids at the same time, and that I was performing on the job as well as doing well in school. So they saw fit to promote me to a file clerk, and I worked in that file department. Now, my goal wasn't to become the head of the file department or that. I just followed the road that was paved for me. And in the meantime, I continued advancing my education in school as well. And then it came to a point where the law librarian position opened up, and I was like, whoa, if you pay attention, I'm getting closer and closer to where I'm operating in my field. So as law librarian, I went beyond being the regular law librarian. Back in those days, we didn't have LexisNexis, Westlaw, or any of those things. We had the old-fashioned manual way you had to do research. And what I did was I taught myself how to use what the computers use, the Key West system, Key West system for West Publications, and Amjur, which was Lawyers Cooperative. I used that system. So anyway, the bottom line was I taught myself how to research, how to correctly write citations, and I would sit and I would listen to the lawyers in the library as I was doing my work, putting the books away, and I didn't interfere with them. I just listened and I learned. So one of my critical skills that transferable skills came about was paying close attention to what they were doing. So then I had to teach myself how to write memos. So now I'm getting into my written communication. And I saw how the lawyers were working together in teams and how each person had one part of the assignment for the case or issue that they were researching. And I picked up all of that while I was on the job, getting paid, doing my job, not sloughing off, but doing my job because I was fortunate enough to get my foot in the door. At any rate, they found out that I knew how to research, and they ended up turning me into what today is called a paralegal. At that time, they called it a law clerk. And so what I did was I started researching stuff that I did. This was before law school. I was probably in, I had transferred from a junior college to a four-year institution, and I had a few more years to go before I would achieve my bachelor's program because I was going to school at night. So anyway, the point of the matter is that I continue to demonstrate, not just say, but demonstrate my ability. They used to take me to court. I'd go to real estate closings. Some of the lawyers actually did do what we call pro bono criminal cases. That meant that they were doing them for the good of the public or free, and I would go to court with them. I actually went on some jail interviews. I went to prison with one of the lawyers to visit a client that she had, and so basically what I'm saying to you is that I was gaining professional experience. Now, it wasn't part of my requirements in school, but what it was is that, remember, my goal was to get my education so that I can achieve my dream of becoming a lawyer. And so that continued on until when I graduated, and then the law firm didn't generally hire first-year law students to come, and I got accepted in Northwestern, of course, as you know, and I had to stop working, so I ended up that summer after my first year coming back to the law firm to continue work. And generally, law firms, what I was about to say, did not hire first-year law students, and they would take you in your second year. But because of my previous experience and they knew what I was capable of doing. They knew I was advanced in research. In fact, my legal writing course that I had in my first year of law school was taught primarily by senior law students, and I actually knew more than the senior law student. And I was able to uh, do what they had these little, what they call word searches or library searches. They would give us something and tell us, to go and find this, and then you had to fill in the blank or fill in the information. Well, I was able to do that real quick, and I was done with my assignments very fast, but because of my experience. But anyway, my point being to you is that I sold myself by operating in those transferable skills. We had people from it's a big Jewish law firm. I learned the culture of the Jewish people from working at the law firm, understanding Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, learning about the menorah, learning about Hanukkah, all of the different celebrations that took place, and recognizing the fact that you found yourself in situations where people from all different backgrounds. We had a few people from other countries, and I learned their ways. There was an attorney from France. I learned some things about France from this attorney. The bottom line is that there was diversity in the office, though at that time they didn't have any black attorneys. But I was going to work my way, and ultimately I did become the first one, and others followed. But the point of the matter is this, is that all of my knowledge, you can be cognizant of the fact that I learned critical thinking, because before I went to law school, some of the lawyers actually shared with me some experiences that they had had. And when I got to law school, and after my first year, I was, as they say, broken into what's called the Socratic method, which actually is critical thinking, a form of critical thinking in action, where the professors posed a series of questions, and if you hadn't done your work, your research, your studying, then you were not prepared to answer the questions. And so there were questions fired, and just because you gave an answer, that didn't let you off the hook. They would fire another question right after that. And eventually what would happen is that you would deal with the broader issue that the professor sought out, as you will learn when you become a lawyer, that takes place. But you'll learn that in other professions as well. I'm just simply giving you the importance. So anyway, I gained my professional experience before becoming a lawyer by working in the law firm. So what am I, and then I ended up getting a job as a lawyer, and a couple of years after I was out of law school, I left because I wanted to do criminal law more, and I did. My point to you is this, is that with your field work that you're working on, and the experience that you're gaining from your field work, it is a introduction to future opportunities for you, and for you to see how in the real world how things operate, whether you're in corrections, whether you're in parole, whether you're going to work in the jail or the prison, whether you're going to go to forensic work as a lawyer, those kinds of things. Certainly law enforcement as well, a big portion, police work. So anyway, my point being is that you have opportunities in these field work experiences to utilize these opportunities to, one, introduce yourself. And I'm telling you, with the job market being tighter than it was back then, it is so important for you to create a niche that causes the future employers in the field you want to go into to know who you are. In other words, you have to do some marketing. You have to sell yourself by not just talking, but walking. That means by actually doing some of the things that I talked about. And don't be afraid to go extra. So what we do in school is we offer internship opportunities, externship opportunities. Then the key for those things. And then when you take a course like this, you're having an opportunity to actually work side by side. Many of you in law enforcement have done ride-alongs. I never done a ride-along. Well, I was a police officer before, so I understand how they work. But the point of the matter is that it gives you a chance. I had a student that I taught, and he was sharing with me in another course that he was taking. He had a ride-along, and he was explaining to me the different things, and he actually was in the car while they were on calls. And then there were certain level calls that they wouldn't take him in. But the point of the matter is that he saw how it really worked. And guess what? Those police got to know this individual. And so when that person decides to apply, of course you go through a process. But still, I know there's civil service listings and all that. But here's my whole point in a nutshell. The field that you go into, the more people know who you are, the more likely you can, if you get in, advance in that. That's my whole point. So the field work experience gives you that opportunity to get some firsthand work. And so what I do is I ask you to follow the rubrics and the course modules that tell you specifically what we're looking for. And what we're doing is we're giving you an opportunity to utilize your skills, your transferable skills in your field work. We also have the discussion posts, which also have crossover into the field that you're working in to give you an opportunity to elaborate on what knowledge you're gaining in that particular field. So, so the transferable skills that we discussed from open house all the way through become a part of who you are. And after a while, you're so accustomed to doing them that you don't even think about them anymore. It's just like breathing. It becomes second nature to you, and you're able to do them. And so this week, what we wanted to do, and our objectives were very simply to demonstrate to you the importance of gaining professional experience, which I just spent time doing, and then progress toward fieldwork experience, the importance. See, here's the deal. The assignments are laid out for fieldwork in stages. It's because that's how you should really be learning, in stages. When I was in school, unfortunately, and many still do today, and it does you a disservice, and I can tell you myself, having been one of those students who did it, I discourage students because here's the deal. From cramming. Cramming is when you try to get the assignments all done quick, fast, and in a hurry to get a grade. I didn't operate in school for grades. I got good grades, but in most of my classes. But what I'm about to tell you is that my primary focus on school was to get an introduction or information about the field and how it really works. And that's where my field work, and actually I was fortunate to do field work, getting paid on my job. Some of you are in the same situation. Some of you are actually working in some of the fields that you want to go into, and you're already in it. However, what you're doing now is you're learning how to advance in those fields. And so field work is very, 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 very important. And, as we always remind students that when you go to school and you start in the real world after that, you don't really learn as much. You learn by experience. You learn over time. However, what we try to do with courses like this is, and a couple other courses that I've taught, is to give you an opportunity to be able to have a preview of what's to come in terms of the various fields. And so that's what we're doing this week, and that's pretty much what we're doing in this entire course. And then that's about it. So I am going to give you the key word or key phrase that I want, which is the essence of this week's assignment, and that is field work. That's it. I'm not going to say it anymore. That's what I'm looking for. You submit that to me, then I'll know that you paid attention. But listen to what I said. Don't just skirt across to get the word or phrase. Because I say the phrase many times, but I don't let you know if that's the key one until later on. Not because I'm trying to hold you hostage, but because I want you to pay close attention to what is taking place. So with that, I'm going to say good night, and I'm going to terminate this session, and you know how to reach me if you do. Have a good one.